Grizzlies fans, the Grizzlies are taking on the New York Knicks today. We did play them just a few weeks ago on January 13th. Gavin is back to break this one down, but it does look a little different because the injury report has gotten so much longer for the Grizzlies. It's kind of long for the New York Knicks too. So I think we should start with who is out today for both teams. For the Grizzlies, Gavin, it is everyone that's been out already. Jaren Jackson Jr. is doubtful. Xavier Tillman Sr. is doubtful. Vince Williams Jr. moved up to questionable. And in the world that we live in right now, questionable is chef's kiss. Derrick Rose is also questionable. For the Knicks, Dwayne Washington is questionable. And then there's 4 big names who are out for the Knicks. OG Anunoby, Quentin Grimes, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. This just doesn't look good. So it's going to be a lot different than the 106-94 game that we had between us a couple weeks ago. We know that the Knicks play not a ton of guys. We know that Tibbs likes to run with his guys. What do you think all these injuries mean in terms of like what product is coming out onto the floor tonight for the Knicks?
Well, I just so the fans get their money worth, I was going to propose at halftime all the injured players on both teams go out and they just kind of do their best, and maybe you get like a 10-point advantage heading into the second half if your injured team wins. But yeah, it's
our injured team is like all-star MVP level. Like,
yeah, you guys are good. But it depends whose injuries are worse. Like our guys can maybe walk around. Julius Randle can still shoot with his strong hand. OG Anunoby theoretically close to coming back. But no, Kelcey, it's not good for either team. Obviously, things in kind of a bigger picture are a little bit better for the Knicks, who did have a 9-game winning streak until all those injuries finally caught up with them against the Lakers. But I do think the Lakers gave other teams a little bit of a blueprint, particularly down the stretch of that game, where they basically just said, all right, if it takes 2, 3, 4 guys, we are going to stop Jalen Brunson at all costs. We are going to dare literally anyone else to beat us, and no one else on the Knicks could. So that's kind of what the Grizzlies are going to attempt to do today. Whether they can pull that off without other guys is the question.
Yeah. So last time we played each other, it was Julius Randle who had the most points. He led the team at 24 points. Miles McBride, another guy who is playing tonight, he had 19 points. But who scares me the most with the active roster is Isaiah Hartenstein, because 12 points, but 20 rebounds. And this team, who's in, who's out, is one of the best rebounding teams in the league, one of the best second chance points teams in the league. Who could hurt the Grizzlies on the boards?
It's definitely Hartenstein. I mean, an amazing stat. I'm double checking it right now. The Knicks took 20 more shots than the Lakers and still lost by 8 points. Which is both a testament to just how desperate the Knicks are for offense right now, but to your point, shows how they can still hurt you. And it's maybe the ultimate endorsement of Tom Thibodeau that it doesn't seem to matter who's playing. The Knicks are able to replicate this formula of low turnovers, high offensive rebounds, high defensive rebounds to win the possession battle game in and game out and give themselves a chance with just enough Jalen Brunson magic, even when everyone's gone. So you obviously have to watch Hartenstein. You also have to watch Precious Achiuwa, who has transformed into a heck of an offensive rebounder on this team. Only 6'8", but long arms. And I think more important than anything else, super active. And you really have to limit him in transition because he does such a nice job running the floor. And even if you're able to get back, force the Knicks to miss that initial fast break shot, he's likely to be there to scoop it up and put it in.
All right, so you're talking about possessions. I'm also going to bring up possessions on the other end. The Grizzlies forced the Knicks into 22 turnovers the last time they played. Is that an outlier for the Knicks, or is that something the Grizzlies can also try and force as well?
I think it's going to be difficult, and I think the reason for that is the Knicks have Jalen Brunson this time, and they don't have Julius Randle. And Randle, the two of them, is typically a bit more turnover prone, even if his decision making has gotten substantially better this year. And I think in that sense, it will actually be to the Knicks' advantage that the offense is basically just roll the ball out and let Jalen Brunson try to cook, because that's what the Knicks did last year, and that was their formula for never turning the ball over. It's like, hey, we're not even going to pass it too much. And one of the sneaky things after this trade is that as well as the Knicks were playing and the fact that their assist rate was dramatically up, more passing, more ball movement, more unselfishness also means you throw the ball away a little bit more when it's just one guy trying to dribble through 3 or 4 dudes and maybe making one pass out to a corner shooter. You're less likely to turn the ball over. So it's possible the Grizzlies do it, just going to be a little bit more difficult.
Okay, let's try and do another one then. I'm like, what can the Grizzlies hold on to? The Grizzlies take a whole lot of threes on the offensive end. They're fifth in the league in threes. Percentage is not spectacular, but both these teams last time we played took 38 threes. The Knicks allow about 35 per game, so the Grizzlies obviously want to take more than that. On the defensive end, if the Grizzlies can catch some heat tonight, because they have guys like Luke, they have guys like Gigi who can hit threes. If they catch some heat from beyond three, is this Knicks defense depleted enough where that's going to be something that can put them over the offensive threshold that Brunson holds?
Yeah, I think it's a necessity for Memphis right now. But to your point, like it's totally plausible to outscore this Knicks team. Like I actually think, despite missing OG Anunoby and Quentin Grimes, who are their two best perimeter defenders, I have far less concerns about the Knicks defensively than I do offensively. If someone like Josh Hart who can step in and play 40 minutes and is obviously a plus defender, Deuce McBride, I think, is one of the better on-ball point guard defenders in basketball. The Knicks are going to be solid on that end of the floor. But to your point, if Memphis gets hot, it's not like I'd expect the Knicks to say, all right, we're just going to go ahead and score 135, because you see games like that in the modern NBA, particularly, my apologies to Memphis fans, but teams like the Grizzlies that are extremely depleted, where they're like, we don't really have to play defense. And that was a little bit the Knicks' attitude in the first game. And like, we can beat this team 135 to 129. The Knicks don't have dramatically more firepower. Their advantage is on the defensive end. So if I'm Tom Thibodeau, I'm putting an emphasis on running the Grizzlies off the line, forcing them to hit tough twos. But if Memphis gets hot, they can totally win this game.
All right, I'm going to end this one a little different than I've ever ended one before, because of the injuries that the Grizzlies have and because of the injuries that the Knicks have. I'm going to ask you, let's take the guys that everyone knows. Let's take Brunson out of it and all the injured guys, of course. Can you give me two guys on the Knicks that maybe Grizzlies fans aren't too familiar with, that tonight they're going to probably get a little bit more familiar with?
All right, I'm going to cheat a little and say Deuce McBride first, who Grizzlies fans became familiar with in the last game. But I think he's a central figure in this one because of how well he played. It was one of the few opportunities he's had in his career to run the show for an entire game. And he flashed an ability off the dribble in that game that, shocking is maybe overstating it and maybe a little bit strong. But I was, you know what? I'll say it. I was shocked, because my single biggest concern about him was his handle, and he put together. I mean, Memphis fans, if you want to torture yourself, go back and watch those highlights. He was exceptional. He's shooting pretty close to 50% from three this year, or at least since the trade. It went down a bit with a 1-for-4 performance against the Lakers, but he's just been red hot. The Knicks absolutely need him to make shots, and he's going to get some minutes alongside Brunson, which is good, because even though he's about 6'2", he's not really a natural point guard. He's better off playing off the ball. So I think he could have a big night. And then I'm gonna double cheat, just because I really don't expect the Knicks to go that deep into their bench, because they only played 7 guys against the Lakers, and Tom Thibodeau, more than
Is known
happy.
for that.
Not a big believer in load management. He agrees with the NBA, played 4 guys at least 40 minutes, including 45 for Jalen Brunson against the Lakers. So I'm going to say this version of Dante DiVincenzo, who I don't think the Grizzlies are totally familiar with, because he has transformed himself into a different level of player this season than he's ever been. Just flat out one of the top 10 best 3-point shooters in basketball this year in terms of volume, in terms of accuracy, coming off a 26-point performance. He's made 33s, I believe, over his last 4 games over the last 2 seasons. I think only 4 guys have done that in the entire league. He took 16 total against the Lakers, so he's not afraid to put a bunch up. A bunch of them have been going in, and as the season's gone on, he's shown more flashes of being able to leverage that and attack off the dribble as well. It's going to be crucial for the Knicks that he gets to 20 points. That if Memphis can limit him, the Knicks are in some deep stuff, because there just aren't a lot of other guys who can score the basketball.
All right, there you go. We're going McBride and DiVincenzo.